Celtic Myths and Legends by T.W. Rolleston. Chapter 5, Tales of the Ultonian cycle. Cuchulain's first foray. After a year and a day of training in warfare under Scatha, Cuchulain returned to Erin, eager to test his prowess and to win Emer for his wife. So he bade harness his chariot and drove out to make a foray upon the fords and marches of Connacht. For between Connacht and Ulster there was always an angry surf fighting along the borders. And first he drove to the White Cairn, which is on the highest of the mountains of Mourne, and surveyed the land of Ulster, spread out smiling in the sunshine far below, and bade his character to tell him the name of every hill and plain and dune that he saw. Then turning southwards, he looked over the places Bregia, and the charioteer pointed out to him Tara and Telton, and Brú na Boine, and the great dune of the sons of Nectan. Are they, ex Cuchulain, those sons of Nectan, of whom it is said that more of the men of Ulster have fallen by their hands than are yet living on the earth? The same, said the charioteer. Then let us drive thither, said Cuchulain. So much unwilling, the charioteer drove to the fortress of the sons of Nectan, and there on the green before it they found a pillar stone, and round it a collar of bronze, having on it writing in Om. Someone said it's Om instead of Ogam, so Om. Okay, Om. This Cuchulain read, and it declared that any man of age to bear arms who should come to that green should hold it gaish for him to depart without having challenged one of the dwellers in the dune to single combat. Then Cuchulain flung his arms round the stone, and swaying it backwards and forwards, heaved it at last out of the earth, and flung it, collar and all, into the river that ran hard by. Surely, said the charioteer, thou art seeking for a violent death, and now thou wilt find it without delay. That actually did tend to happen back in the day when you messed with somebody's property markers. The foil son of Nectan came forth from the dune, and seeking Cuchulain, whom he deemed but a lad, he was annoyed, but Cuchulain bade him fetch his arms. For I slay not drivers, nor messengers, nor unarmed men. And Foyle went back into the dune. Thou canst not slay him. Then said the charioteer, for he is invulnerable by magical power to the point or edge of any blade. But Cuchulain put in his sling a ball of tempered iron, and when Foyle appeared, he slung it at him, so that it struck his forehead, and went clean through brain and skull, and Cuchulain took his head and bound it to his chariot rim. And other sons of Nectan, issuing forth, he fought with, and slew by sword or spear. And then he fired the dune, and left it in a blaze, and drove on exultant. And on the way he saw a flock of wild swan, and 16 of them he brought down alive with his sling, and tied them to the chariot. And seeking a herd of wild deer, which his horses could not overtake, he lighted down and chased them on foot till he caught 2 great stags, and with thongs and ropes he made them fast to the chariot. But the main Macha, a scout of King Connor, came running in to give him news. Behold, a solitary chariot is approaching swiftly over the plain. Wild white birds fled around it, and wild stags are tethered to it. It is decked all around with the bleeding heads of enemies. And Connor looked to see who was approaching, and he saw that Cuchulain was in his battle fury, and he would deal death round him, whomsoever he met. So he hastily gave order that a troop of the women of Emania should go forth to meet him, and, having stripped off their clothing, should stand naked in the way. This they did, and when the lad saw them, smitten with shame, he bowed his head upon his chariot rim. Then Connor's men instantly seized him and plunged him into a vat of cold water, which had been made ready, but the water boiled around him, and the stays and hoops of the vat were burst asunder. This they did again, and yet again, and at last his fury left him, and his natural form and aspect were restored. Then they clad him in fresh raiment, and bade him into the feast in the king's banqueting hall. Yeah, what type of what type of father puts? It's like, oh, just send a group of naked women out to see. Send a group of women to get out naked in front of the guy that, that I finally approved for you to get married to, and he has to be a vicious serial killer that, has no problem torturing animals either. I mean, yeah, this would not be a politically correct movie nowadays, would it?